to Heroes of the Dorm.
Other teams just don't have the chemistry that we have.
You really have to be in sync with your team and know what everyone's doing.
I don't want to just win the region, I want to win the tournament.
Hello and welcome to Heroes of the Dorm Atlantic Coast Region, a new and exciting addition to North America's premier collegiate gaming competition.
Now in its fourth season, Heroes of the Dorm will have collegiate hopefuls competing for an epic prize pool of over $500,000 in scholarships and prizes.
Squads from colleges across the U.S. and Canada will compete for that shot at the ultimate prize, fully paid college tuition. My name is Paul Inverum Toddkill, and I'll be one of your hosts and casters for this event.
My name is Albert Halloran Haley III, but it won't just be us. We're also going to bring out Bron the Source Mitchell. Around here, we like to call him the professor because he knows everything. Heroes of the Storm features characters and lore from across the nearly 30-year history of Blizzard Entertainment.
Players compete in 5 versus 5 combat, where the fabled heroes from Warcraft, StarCraft, Diablo, Overwatch, and more collide.
Teams compete on various battlegrounds, each with their own unique quests and strategies, where the ultimate objective is to destroy the enemy team's core.
Heroes of the Dorm Atlantic Coast Region features some of the top teams in big-time college rivalries we've grown to love. Teams will be competing within this new region for guaranteed placement into the Heroes of the Dorm postseason tournament with free college tuition and other prizes on the line. This year, we're changing up the way we're doing our brackets. We're making them smaller, really focusing on those traditional sports rivalries we know and love. We're going to take them from the field and the court and into the Nexus. Halloran, what is the rivalry that you're looking forward to the most this year?
Me personally, I'm looking forward to NC State going up against North Carolina. They could be playing croquet in both of these teams that have a huge rivalry. During the regular season, though, each team will have 2 matches, one within their respective region and a second one that could be placed against anyone in the entire tournament. We're going to be using a Swiss-style bracket, so that means anytime you win, you're going to be going up against a more difficult opponent. Highlighted amongst these regions, though, is definitely going to be the Atlantic Coast region, which will feature some teams you may recognize from the South. While the play of these teams may be amazing, also are the stories and profiles of these players.
In Clemson, South Carolina, we caught up with Esports president Robert Burnside, who is also a video manager for the 2017 College Football National Champions.
And in Chapel Hill, Anthony Lee details how his black belt in Taekwondo provides an extra edge in digital combat. That and much more is coming from campuses all over the Atlantic Coast region. We guarantee you have not seen players in this light before.
When Heroes of the Dorm returns, we'll meet up with one of the most experienced squads in the Atlantic Coast region, the FSU Crab Legs, who think their team chemistry can give them a leg up on the competition. Zach Carr is using his athletic background to get the Crab Legs ready for competition. And later on, newcomer Vaughn Poikert is hitting all the right notes as an a cappella singer in his time away from the game. More Heroes of the Dorm Atlantic Coast region when we return.
When it comes to this game, I think it helps you play as a team.
Oh, 4-man!
Welcome back to Heroes of the Dorm Atlantic Coast region.
Florida State University is known across the country for their storied football program, which has produced 3 Heisman Trophy winners and 3 national championships in recent decades.
While nothing can replace the Seminole Chop, at Doak Campbell Stadium, we found that esports is on the rise down there in the South.
Hi, my name is Brent. I'm here with the FSU Heroes of the Storm team. I'm going to be the coach of the team this year. Y'all obviously love the game of Heroes of the Storm. Y'all have been playing together as a team for a while. Why do you like and why do you play Heroes of the Storm? What brought you to it? What made you stay?
I think as a former League player, and I know a lot of other people played stuff like League or Dota, Heroes is a more casual game in a way that it's a 20-minute game as opposed to a 50-minute game, but also it's a much more team-oriented game. There's a lot of things in other games where you can solo carry, where as far as Heroes goes, it's more of a team carry. The EXP is shared, you work as a team, all the objectives you can't really do by yourself. So when it comes to this game, I think it helps you play as a team.
Oh, nice. If you can get that wall. So what's the general strategy to do this? I know we want to kill the enemy structures. How do you normally go about doing that?
Say I was playing Gaslow, I would clear the minions quicker than the other team clears your minions, which allows your minions to take the shots coming in from the enemy fort, which allows you to damage the fort, take out the outer towers, take out the gate, eventually take down the fort, and then you can move on further onto the enemy side of the map and take out their next row of forts, which are called keeps. Once you get keeps down, you get stronger minions, which help you eventually push the core.
I do not want to get ley line to main mode.
Yeah, I'm going safe. I'm going safe way.
What would you say are the strengths and weaknesses of the team in the past, going forward? What do you think we need to work on? And then how do you identify that, like that, and the chemistry and working together with everyone?
Basically, it's, we're a college team, so we're going to have people graduate and people come in. So probably the hardest part is, getting new players, first of all, aware of the team, finding HOTS players at FSU that want to play, and then getting them involved in the team.
So finding good players, making sure that they have a good team attitude, come to practice on time,
and we can build chemistry with them.
Mesh.
Yeah.
Mesh.
I think the team in the past, as opposed to now, didn't have confined roles and didn't take it as seriously as we do now. I think the strength now is we all know what we're gonna play. We know which heroes we want, we know what maps we want.
Tanks, obviously, what's the strongest tanks right now in the meta? Just like any other sport, doing stuff outside the game will also help build chemistry. What would you guys say?
I think what makes a team play better, especially on a video game, is knowing the people on a personal level, hanging out with people outside. Then when you go into play, using their real names instead of their in-game name stuff where you know the person personally helps us play better as a team.
You can notice tendencies, like how they will react to a situation. And I notice he's very aggressive. So you can predict that he's going to do that, so you can kind of play off of that.
That was a good knockback, Alberta.
And if they go to Hako, Malfield's really good against them. What do you guys think about the growth of college esports, what Blizzard's done with this game and esports in the collegiate level?
The testbook community is one of the coolest right now, I think. I mean, I've made, a lot of friends from other schools that, I'd never met if I never played against them in years prior. And, it's really, made college esports something that I enjoy and that, I like representing my university.
I like that it's viable now for you to play video games but also go into school and make a difference and meet people that also have the same interests, and hopefully one day the majority of schools will validate esports to the point that maybe students can receive funding or scholarships for being athletes.
It's good that you mentioned that, because there are some schools that actually give scholarships out like they do to traditional sports. Do you think that's viable? Do you think that's going to go that way and continue to grow to the point where each school has some money set aside for their esports teams?
That's definitely the trend of where things are going. And as the game grows, as it becomes more of a viral thing, the competition grows as well. That's why every year this tournament is harder and harder. It's harder to get 64, it's harder to win your region. Every single year, the game is growing, and so is the player base.
To you more personally, what would it mean to win this year?
Probably bragging rights, because, I've been playing in past dorms and past training grounds, and to finally be like, all right, all this effort I put into, I finally learned the game enough and studied up on the tournament enough that I was able to win. Like, it really shows all the effort,
The big picture of this whole tournament is winning a full college scholarship for yourself. So if you can win enough money to not have any sort of debt going out of college by playing a video game, something that you enjoy doing, that's the best part about it. You're paying for your college tuition, doing something you like to do with friends.
we could travel and go somewhere else in a big stadium where there's people cheering for you out there. It's just amazing to think that that is possible, that you can do it, and you can do it with people that you've been working so hard with. And the thought of, winning and knowing that you worked so hard that it paid off, and I don't think that can be described sometimes, that feeling of euphoria and that feeling of success and self-gratification.
As your guys' coach, I would love to see you guys go all the way. That's my prize, is seeing you guys succeed, you guys win scholarship money. My goal is to make sure that you guys could hit your top potential, that you guys could work really well as a team so we can go ahead and get #1 and win the championship, win that tuition, and win Heroes of the Dorm.
It's really amazing to take a look at these players and see what they're like outside of the game. A little bit of behind the scenes action here. It's awesome because you look at this and you see these names on a screen and you realize these are actually people. They have dreams and aspirations, and we got to see a bit of it there. It's pretty fantastic.
This is a team that definitely knows how to have fun. They also know how to play Heroes of the Storm at a high level, but it's also clear to me that they care about each other. They're going to push themselves as much as they can to help their teammates succeed. Even the coach said, my biggest prize is to see you guys go all the way. That kind of teamwork is very important in this tournament.
And we caught up with the former captain, Zach Carr, to get a bit of insight on how his athletic lifestyle contributes to his stellar performance in the Nexus.
There's nothing I'd rather do than go out in the morning on a nice sunny day and just kick the soccer ball around. Like, it's almost an out-of-body experience where nothing else matters in that moment because you're just trying to focus on yourself. You're trying to take a step back from whatever's going on in your life, and that's what soccer is for me. If I have a big Heroes of the Storm game, I would even go out in the morning and play soccer just to relax before I have to sit down and play competitively. I'm a keeper by trade. I started on my varsity team in 8th grade, all throughout high school, and started captaining the team my junior year. Sometimes I think the stereotype of gaming is a nerd, someone that sits, in their room in the darkness for 8 hours at a time and plays video games, but that's not really what the new generation of esports stereotype is. Everyone I meet has their own thing going for them, whether it be a part of an a cappella group, playing soccer, or being involved in school clubs. Everyone kind of has their own thing going for them. I think this new generation is breaking the stereotype. It's actually funny because most people, when they meet me and get to know me, don't initially think that, I sit and I play competitive esports. That I meet them on a soccer field or something, and then I tell them that I'm a part of the Florida State Crab Legs HOTS team. They are taken aback, like, oh, really, I wouldn't expect that. I'm proud of being a part of the team. I'm proud of being an esports player, so I laugh, and I'm like, yes, I am. Like, it's a very cool thing to be a part of. My sophomore year, at the end, I got involved in the Florida State team. Heroes of the Storm was in late beta at that time, and then on my own found a Facebook page, FSU Heroes of the Storm page, found 5 people that I had never met before, and then ended up forming a team and competing in the dorm tournament. Found myself playing more and more Heroes until that's the only game I was playing. Also, I was playing with what became to be my best friends, since all we'd want to do is play Heroes. So I would go to work, go to school, and then text my teammates like, hey, you guys want to play tonight? I never thought coming to Florida State, such a big school, that I'd be like, hey, I'm a part of a Florida State athletic team. I never thought I'd be able to represent something like that. That was the coolest part for me starting out, was like, I'm the captain of a Florida State team.
He's as that veteran presence that I can go to and count on. That's very, very important. He helps keep people in check too sometimes, and people don't want to disappoint him either. At the same time as he's that lighthearted guy, he's still the guy that says you needed to do this. That helps us improve as a team.
I've been on the team for 3 years. The team has always had this embodiment of a lighthearted, fun attitude. If you lose, joke about it, talk about it, find out what went wrong, and improve upon that. I think the round of 64 is almost a lock-in. I think we've already achieved that in my head. We're trying to move forward from that. Of course, I'd like to win the region, but I think that's too small scope as a goal for me personally. I don't want to just win the region. I'm looking more forward than that. I don't want to just win the region, I want to win the tournament. Words couldn't describe that kind of feeling. It's not just winning college tuition. Of course, that's the main reason why we're all here. It's all the hard work, 3 years of cycling through teams, cycling through strategy. So the gratification of everything that you're putting into this goal and achieving that, the words couldn't describe that feeling. Lifting a trophy in front of a crowd of people, that's a feeling that I thought I would never get from playing a video game.
It's great to see that after 3 years of getting eliminated in the round of 64, this team still has the drive and passion to succeed. You know what? It's tough. It's easy to get, knocked down a bit, but they're still trucking.
Absolutely. After 3 years, they definitely want to make it past the round of 64. This time it might actually feel a little personal. They want to get further into this tournament. They also have a coach this year, which is definitely something of an anomaly, not something we see very often at Heroes of the Dorm, which says to me they're looking to play as competitively as possible and make it to the finals.
Absolutely, and maybe a key factor in that is going to be their new player, Bond Poiker. We caught up with him to talk about his experience as part of the all-male a cappella group, Reverb. He might want to start his team off with a bit of a high note this year, so we'll catch up with him next when the Atlantic Coast region return.
We're competitive, but we also joke around constantly. We're serious when we need to be in the heat of the moment.
Welcome back to Heroes of the Dorm Atlantic Coast region, where we learn that communication is key for a team to succeed in the Nexus. Bond Poiker is taking it up to another level as part of the FSU all-male a cappella group Reverb, where we learned that constant communication can lead to some beautiful harmony.
I've been singing basically since I could talk. It's just nice to make music. You don't have to do it with an instrument, because you're the instrument, and that's what's really cool, is you are an instrument. It was definitely very daunting going in the first day because I wasn't used to just the collegiate level, so it was definitely a higher caliber, so I had to bring myself up. Baby, we built this house. I'm in Reverb, which is all-male a cappella. It's more of a pop a cappella group, but a lot of times we do some soul, some jazz.
Bond's an awesome addition to the group. He vibes with us all really well. Easy guy to joke around with, goes along with bits, and super passionate about music too, so he's an awesome addition to the group.
If we could channel our singing power into a game, we'd be wonderful. The bass would be the tank, the baritone would be the bruiser. I'd say the tenor one, those high notes, those are those really juicy, you just love to hear them. So that's probably the damage, that's what's really doing you in. And then, yeah, tenor two is just that nice, it's gonna support everyone. You need those harmonies, they make it complete. Gaming's always been probably one of the biggest things in my life. I remember my dad, he showed me the original Tomb Raider, and that was one of my first video games, and I just loved that itself, and I've been gaming throughout my whole childhood. I think Here's the Storm and stuff like that, MOBAs are definitely more like soccer, where you have a whole game to you score point. If 3 shots go in your goal, you still got that chance to eventually win in the end game. I saw the big TESPA on the Blizzard launcher. You see TESPA, here's your Overwatch tournament, and I was oh, that seems really cool. So I looked up TESPA, I signed up, and that's when I contacted the existing team. I was hey, I'd love to be part of this. So I was part of the Hearthstone, Overwatch, and Heroes teams. We've done a few LAN parties, and those are really enjoyable. We'll play some games on the couch, just some fun, goofy social games. You bridge that gap of usually you're alone in your room, you don't see those people, and now you get to actually be with them, and it definitely makes you closer. We're competitive, but we also joke around constantly. We're serious when we need to be in the heat of the moment, but otherwise we're just it's a game. It's just like football, soccer, We might lose, and that's okay because we're having fun, and that's what really matters. We definitely would love to win the region, just for, you know, local bragging rights. To win the whole competition would just be icing on the cake.
We've met with the players and seen what they're like outside of the game. Now it's time to see how they perform on the battleground as they take on Pittsburgh when Heroes of the Dorm Atlantic Coast region returns.
We're doing this match at my house here in Tallahassee, Florida, right outside of FSU's campus. We have the whole team here, ready to go, land style. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We're gonna give Pitt a run for their money. And we try to do a couple of these every season as a kind of a team building exercise. Sometimes we'll do it on the weekend. We'll do like a land party at 3 or 4 a.m. all night, have fun, play other games too. But like right now we're all practicing, we're warming up, we're scrimmaging, and they're getting warmed up for the game. So against Pitt, we're looking to play some of our comfort maps, Cursed Hollow, Dragonshire. We're gonna be look to prioritizing ETC, Greymane, strong burst heroes, strong meta heroes, and either Hanzo or Genji if they're up. And we're going to look to just outplay our opponents, make good macro shot calls, and win the game. So let's play our game, keep comms, keep it flowing, like communicate everything. If Genji roams and kills Sham, he's going to give you a lot of shit. Don't let that happen. Beat Pitt on 3. 1, 2, 3, beat Pitt!
Hello again and welcome back to Heroes of the Dorm 2018 Atlantic Coast region. We've had a great show so far, but you know what? It's time to play some video games. My name is Paul Inverum Todkill, and I am joined by the one and only The Source. Bud, it's great to have you with us.
Good to be here, and I can't wait to get into game.
Absolutely. We've talked a lot about these teams so far tonight, but you know what? We call you the professor for a reason. We're going to get some deep insights into these teams, into these rosters. And speaking of rosters, we have the squad from the University of Pittsburgh right here.
Yeah, so we've got Cutie Dasserin, Orbitz, Zach C, Resimerd, and Skizzer. And these guys are a group of players who've decided that they're actually all flex players. That is a bold claim to say that you have the ability to play pretty much any role, which is what a flex player is.
Absolutely. In Heroes of the Storm, we kind of divide our characters a little bit interestingly. We divide them down into warriors, supports, assassins, and specialists. Now, being able to play multiple roles is pretty impressive, so being able to say that a whole team is flex, that's pretty cool. Let's see if they can back it up. That being said, Florida State, let's take a look at this roster because this is one we're a little bit more familiar with, a bit more veteran status here. Issa, Shamuel, Thought, Rammercat, and Ohms. Now, we've talked to these guys a little bit. We know a little more about them, and we see a little bit more balanced roster here in terms of what we come to expect.
Yeah, they've got a clear tank and a clear healer, clear support to help out their team, keep their their carries, their more vulnerable players alive so that they can then make those big plays. And Issa's going to be doing that both from the shot calling perspective and from just being that front line for his teammates.
Absolutely, an aggressive shot caller, and you need a really good playmaker here on this map. It is Dragonshire, one of our oldest battlegrounds here in Heroes of the Storm, and one with a pretty unique mechanic. Let's check it out. Dragonshire has always been one of my favorite battlegrounds because, in my opinion, it requires some of the most team communication. Now, in Dragonshire, each team captures a shrine in the top and bottom of the map. You channel both, and you can capture the Dragon Knight in the middle of the map. It's basically a big suit of armor that allows you to push down your opposing, I guess you could say, your opposing team's structures and allows you to push through all the way to the core and hopefully win the game. Now, Dragonshire is an interesting battleground because, like I said, it requires a lot of communication. You've got your players in the top, players in the bottom, making sure that they're all on the same page, whether or not to commit for those fights.
Yeah, so let's take a closer look at the map. And we can talk a little bit about what these teams are going to be looking to do on Dragonshire. So there are a couple of things to note. You have these shrines up here in the top and the bottom. They feed into this Dragon Knight here in the middle, like you mentioned before. What is important to note is there's actually a very distinct top lane, a solo lane in this map. This one up here, because of this tri-bush here, this small triangle of space that you can move through to be able to get between the bottom and the top. We'll constantly see teams rotate back and forth, clearing out the minion waves and trying to stay on the move and possibly catch their opponents out of position. There's also a number of mercenary camps down there, so there's a lot that's going to happen in the lower half of the map, and then later in the game we'll see that those players who are up on the top join the rest of their squads.
Absolutely. So I'm really curious to see how teams play around that bottom portion of the map. We talk about that triangle bush. We kind of jokingly call it the Bermuda Triangle because heroes tend to go in there and never come back out. It's a great place to lie and wait for your opponents. And you know what? Pittsburgh is going to be looking to do exactly that. Let's take a look at the roster that they put together here, and we're seeing it. Johanna off the bat, I like it. She brings a lot of wave clear to the table. That's your ability to push down these waves, kill those mercenaries, or kill those minions, and move on as well. Adding to that, Gul'dan and Cassia. Those are two very strong assassins, good carries.
Yeah, it's going to give them a lot of wave clear with the Gul'dan. The Cassia can follow up as well, but I think they're looking for that rare opportunity where Uther is going to land that stun. Where he can step up and just, lock somebody down for a moment. Orbits is going to be their solo laner on that Artanis. So, decent in the solo lane, has a bit of wave clear, is fairly safe, can duel a bit, gives him a lot of options.
Yeah, I like that. Good self-sustainability up in that top lane. I imagine that's where he'll end up being as well. So that's a solid roster there looking. Florida State, let's see how they respond to this. So far, we talked about their experience here, and that extends also to the draft, and we're seeing this off the bat already, picking up that double warrior with the ETC and the Dahaka. Dahaka, a very interesting hero, particularly on this map because of that global pressure.
Yes, so he is going to be the solo laner for the side of Florida State, but he has the ability to join his team when he wants to. He is able to burrow from anywhere on the map to anywhere else on the map. Well, he can burrow from anywhere, but he ends up in a bush.
Yes.
So you never know where he's going to show up. There is an audio cue. You will hear him coming for
you.
It's
scary. You hear him.
It can throw players off. Outside of that, they've got Remercat on the gray main. That's some good instant burst damage. They've got a Lunara, which is going to give them consistent damage, and they have Lucio, which is going to allow them to rotate through that tri-bush area very quickly. So we're likely to see them keep up a very good quick rotation and then jump on any opportunity they see.
Absolutely. Having that ability to Lucio speed boost into and out of tough situations really puts you at an advantage because speed has a lot. Being able to get ahead of your opponents, especially in a game that's all about wave clear, really crucial. So here on Dragonshire, we're going to get into this matchup. It's going to be pretty epic. I'm excited. Let's get into this game. FSU up against Pittsburgh. And here on the left-hand side, in the blue trunks, let's get this going. We have Zaxi on the Gul'dan. We have QT Dacian playing that Johanna. We have Skizzer playing the Cassia. Racermerd playing that Uther. And rounding it out, we have Orbits on that Artanis.
Yep, and over on the Reb side, FSU Crab Legs from Florida State. Remercat's going to be on the Greymane. Shambulance on the Lunara. Thought is going to be on that Lucio. Issa on the ETC. And last but not least, Ohms is going to be on the Dahaka. We have some...
Interesting.
It's not completely insane, but it is definitely new. I've rarely ever seen teams do this. So they've decided to forgo what is the standard top lane strategy of sending that solo lane up there, and they're going to put them in the bottom. So this changes up the way these rotations are going to work. We also see Gul'dan on his own. It's an interesting answer back, and I think both teams were looking to throw the other one off.
But they both did it.
Yeah, so they were both on the same mindset of how they both predicted what the other was going to do, and then ended up predicting the same.
You mind gamed yourself. No, that's actually pretty much it right there. That's really cool because this is not something we're supposed to used to see. But that being said, Issa going in the mid lane, nicely done, pushing back their opponent there, not able to quite get that takedown. But Ohms is actually struggling a bit here against Orbits. In this bottom lane, we know that Artanis is a good solo laner, but that's what we were expecting. But he actually lost some soak there. That's not a great start there for Ohms.
So the strategy was to send Ohms down there to clear out that one wave, hold the position, and then instantly rotate top. But I suspect his rotation, his burrow got canceled by the Artanis. Artanis has the ability to swap places with an opponent. Is an interesting crowd control. Takes a little bit of getting used to. So it's likely that he was able to do that to that team while the rest of his squad was in the middle fighting. Now we're seeing the standard rotations. It's interesting that Gul'dan is the one who's going to hold that, but he was able to do some additional damage to the Dahaka. Orbits had already punished him a bit. So for the moment, we see Pit Crew, taking a very clear advantage of the game.
Yeah, nicely done there coming out from Pittsburgh. They're looking solid here, getting that slight advantage early, and QT Dacian is looking good, moving in there as well. Uther playing confident. I like that. Uther's the ability to heal himself as he heals his allies, and we're seeing this dominant play so far as both shrines are being channeled. He's taking a lot of damage down there in the bottom, able to power slide out, keep himself alive. But we have both of these shrines for a short period of time being captured out there for the blue team, put up in the top lane to Haka, finally able to take that back. But a nice start from the Pit Crew.
Yeah, no, they put on a lot of pressure, gotten some additional value. It is difficult to take the Dragon Knight. To take it, you need to have both of those shrines, and then you need to channel, stand there, and not be interrupted by anything for a couple of seconds. It makes it very difficult to pick it up in the early portion of the game, but at least establishing the dominance over the shrines puts the threat on the field. You normally need a kill or some kind of positional advantage to make something happen. We see the rotation from Skizzer coming in.
Nicely done there. The stun going down. Power Slide is available there for ETC, allowing him to get out of that situation. Rammercat, not the best wave clear in the world. Not too bad so far, though, in the early game. He's going to make sure he stays in that mid lane, though, so that nobody is going to sneak a channel in there on that middle lane. But Thought needs to be cautious. He's playing super aggressive, booping his opponents around all over the place. A little bit of a push and a shove there. That's what Lucio's do best. Orbitz is taking a lot of punishment here in the bottom lane, though. Shambulance has been able to just post up and rain down that hurt.
So a heavy advantage that the AoE healing coming in from the Lucio, but Orbitz is going to go down, and they have now sent the members of Pit Crew packing because Lucio has a ability to heal without using up his mana, without using up that resource, that blue bar underneath his health bar. And that has allowed them to kind of play the slow game and wait for the members of Pit Crew to get over-aggressive with their advantage.
Absolutely. You know, controlling that mana bar, keeping tabs on that's really important, because that's what allows you to cast your spells, use your abilities. That's super important here, because in the mid lane, Skizzer's finding himself in a bit of a tough spot, but at least he has some mana to work with.
Zach.
That being said, Zach in the top lane doesn't have health or mana, and he is going to be dropping. That is a big deal here, with one takedown and both shrines being captured here by the side of FSU Crablegs. They are sitting in a very strong position right now. And this Wisp in the mid lane, that stayed alive way too long. That's great vision for FSU.
Yeah, that definitely was able to indicate a couple of rotations. And we had to see Pit Crew commit a lot of resources mid before they were able to take back the shrine. They had to put bodies there so that the enemy team could not capture that, and that's going to be a lot of crowd control.
Oh, beautiful initiation there, and Skizzer is taking a lot of hurt. One more.
Skizzer survived!
He's
gone!
The beautiful Gulnean cocktail from Rammercat, utilizing the passive on Cassia. She takes less damage while she's moving, and it really showed there. But a beautiful pitch there from Rammercat. I see a baseball player, I'm not sure. Looking really good there, securing that takedown, though, as level 7 to level 6 is coming into play now. So a talent tier advantage. Rammercat and Friends taking a lot of hurt, though, in the mid lane. Trying to disengage here, though, as Orbitz and Friends are trying to get a return takedown. But remember this Bermuda Triangle that I talked about earlier? Yeah, it's coming into effect.
Yeah, it's a dangerous place to fight. When you are standing in a bush, you cannot be seen by your opponent unless they either have a vision ability showing them or you're attacking them out of it. So jumping in and out of those bushes, breaking vision. Not only does it make it difficult for you to be found, it also can sometimes cancel the animations of abilities. Things will not land. You won't be able to follow up onto that. Orbit's getting a little bit aggressive, and I'm still surprised that they haven't rotated him up into the top lane. If Gul'dan was with this team, he would be doing massive damage, and honestly, Orbit showed he can handle that 1v1 top against the Haka. He was able to easily do a bunch of damage. The Hawk is down here now, but you know it seems like Pit Crew could optimize slightly better, but they're continuing to keep up in control. They are not far behind in experience. I just think opportunities were missed.
Yeah, I think so too. And they're looking pretty good, though. QT Dasser, and once again in the mid lane, there comes the tongue. And that is likely going to be a very dead Johanna. So that is a slight advantage, once again, going back the way of FSU Crablegs. But Pit Crew, like you said, they're not too far behind. There's just a few small things that they could be doing, actually on both sides, to sort of optimize this a little bit better. Ohm was once again up here in the top lane. Watch for him to use that global when he needs to. He's going to channel out this top shrine. And actually, simultaneously, FSU Crablegs is grabbing both, which means there's potentially an opportunity to grab this Dragon Knight in the bottom. That being said, Skizzer might be in some trouble.
Yeah, Shambulance is starting to force the issue, starting to get in Skizzer's face, to start to pressure him out. Lunar is a great answer into Casa. You mentioned how she doesn't take additional damage. Ooh, that got canceled out by Rammercat. What a brawl here in the middle.
Yeah, nicely done there, denying that Dragon Knight capture. Issa doing a good job of peeling for his team, of keeping his damage dealers safe. That's really a big, crucial role of the Warrior here, the tank in Heroes of the Storm. But that being said, let's take a look at that experience bar at the top. Level 10, right around the corner. Yeah, and this is a dangerous position for the side of Pit Crew. They need to get that canceled. They don't do it, and now level 10 is going to come in as soon as this minion wave dies. It's a dangerous position to be in, as FSU Crablegs will have their heroic abilities. You could not have asked for better timing on that. FSU Crablegs grabbing their heroic abilities and their Dragon Knight in the same breath. That is pretty well executed, if I do say so myself. Pit Crew not out of it yet, though, by any means. These early game Dragon Knights, while they might look pretty intimidating, they don't hit that hard. But that being said, come the late game, especially at the 20-plus minute mark, these Dragon Knights, they are terrifying. They will rip through your structures like they're paper.
Yeah, and as they hit 10 on this next wave, I want to see the side of Pit Crew get the engagement. Oh, but up in the top lane, if they lose Zach, Zach needs to get himself out of there. Again, they really need to get that Gul'dan in the middle of the team fight. I'm assuming they're looking for those late game team fights, but if they had him, they could fight, but that's a mosh.
Oh man, a two-man mosh pit. Bless Shield comes in, but it doesn't quite connect on the ETC. That is not ideal. We're seeing that synergy with Skizzer and Artanis, but it's just not doing enough. We'll touch on that a little bit later with the blinds, but man, this Dragon Knight has gotten so much value, especially when Issa is landing big slides like that. Shambulance putting on a Clitic. Skizzer, is he going to make it to the well? I'm not sure. No, buddy, you're not going to make it.
He didn't have well tap. Well tap was down.
No!
He had tapped before the wave had pushed in underneath the turret, so he didn't have the opportunity to go to the well. That is on a reasonably long cooldown and heal himself back up. But again, we see Ohms just punishing Zaxi. Zaxi's been left on an island up here with an evil monster, and it's just not. It's not a good time for him. He's keeping up. He's not losing. He's not dying, but he could be made better use of his abilities if he were with the rest of the team. And then there's that Lunara damage that we're starting to see.
Absolutely. If Orbits was up here in this top lane, taking that pressure, allowing Gul'dan to fight with the team, you would see so much more. Because Gul'dan has a unique ability. He has the ability to sacrifice his health to give himself mana, which means that he wants to be playing with his support, so his support can keep effectively giving him mana, which allows him to spam his abilities, get that damage out consistently. That's really where a Gul'dan thrives. That being said, level 13 now reached for the FSU Crab Legs, which means they have that talent tier. They're slowly starting to extend that lead, moving forward and more, starting to snowball. The train is rolling down the hill right now.
Yes, but one good team fight could stop it in its tracks. All they need is a top-tier Horrify. The Heroic from Gul'dan could set them up to have a massive play. There's going to be the Horrify. Can they make something happen here?
Going on Chamberlains, but he has that leaping strike, able to get himself, extricate himself from that situation. Ohms misses the follow-up there, able to get himself out. Popping that adaptation. Skizzer's going to look to try and do something here, though. The stun, nicely done. The Burrow is here as well. The Blind's actually going to connect nicely done using that bouncy ball of death from Skizzer, but Ohms is just too tanky. He has the ability to use his essence from the minions that he's defeated to keep himself alive, but someone who's not keeping himself alive, I think it's QT Dasserin.
Oh, that would have been good if Thought wasn't there to be able to push him backwards. It's difficult to get out of any kind of small condensed space when there's a Lucio. He has the ability to knock his opponents back in a pretty wide area. So, as far as characters who could possibly have gotten out of trouble, Johanna is one of them, but it was, too well coordinated by FSU Crab Legs. They were able to pick up that mercenary character from the bottom, and we're now starting to see that mercenary pressure. We've seen, in some of the professional play in the amateur scene, teams are doing much better at getting these mercenary camps on time with the changes that came in a little while ago. And Shambulance, he'll be canceled out, but Zach, he's all alone.
Talk about being on an island. Gul'dan has found himself up a river without a paddle, and now level 16 is right around the corner. These face melts from Issa have been excellent, just disengaging. It's like, we don't want this fight. I'm going to push everybody away. When you talk about these mercenary camps, they have been excellent in distracting the side of the Pit Crew, which has allowed the Dragon Knight to be captured here from FSU Crab Legs, and they're pushing in onto this bottom keep. And these keeps are crucial in Heroes of the Storm.
Is it even really a distraction? It's just pressure. The side of FSU Crab Legs has been able to put all of these things on the map that you have to answer to. You have to consider. They're getting a decent amount of damage on this keep. That's a good Horrify. They have to be worried about the mosh pit, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, deny. I think actually managed to cancel it out there. That beautiful Bless Shield coming in with QT Dasserin taking a lot of damage. The Power Slide going to initiate onto that, but Johanna using that Iron Skin to stay alive. Orbis has been pushed out of the fray for now, but a beautiful long engage here from FSU Crab Legs, trying to get themselves out. They secured the keep, but Pit Crew's still alive, and they're chasing.
It's a dangerous opportunity to chase in.
No!
Four-man mosh!
Oh, that four-man mosh pit destroying the entire side of the Pit Crew. That is going to be a 5 takedown fight. Issa! Beautiful play coming in from him. He went right back into the middle of that team, and they started dancing.
And we're out. You're ready for the turnaround mosh. Ready for the turnaround mosh.
That was a perfectly timed play.
What?
That was beautiful. That was beautiful timing. Great team communication. He knew he had the opportunity to go back in. Issa is going to make a massive play for his team and secure them the game.
Oh, what a beautiful play from the ETC, securing FSU Crab Legs the victory. Florida State pulling out the W here. Heroes of the Dorm, Atlantic Coast region. What a phenomenal way to end a game. You don't see four-man moshes too often.
No, that is a true rarity. Just to be able to get that many players either lined up, grouped up, or at least having that opportunity, because he was pretty low.
Yeah.
There was an opportunity to turn and take him out. He had less than half of his health bar. So it was, just absolute, purely just great decision making to know he had that opportunity.
Absolutely. And you know what? We have play of the game. I'm not sure what it is, but I think I can take a guess as to what it's going to be. Let's get back into it here. Let's take a look. Disengaging is Florida State, but watch the blue team. They clump up together, which allows Issa to get that four-man mosh. Rammercat is instantly there with the follow-up. Shambulance as well. Look at the target calling, too. They are isolating the weak members, and they are executing them one by one. Let's hear from Zach and Issa on their thoughts from that round.
You know, with Issa, when he says get out, it doesn't really mean get out. We all saw it coming. You play with people so much, you know what they're doing and you know what they're thinking. And just by the way he was posturing, we were all ready to go back in. We all saved our cooldowns. And the moment he goes in and he hits the mosh, they die immediately every single time.
I was hoping to get at least a good mosh pit that game. I only got 2 or 3 mans in the middle of the game, but I just kind of wanted to close it out. So ETC has this thing where if the enemy team is running towards you, it's really easy to hit mosh pits. You basically fake a retreat and then you go right back in. I just saw them, as ETC player, you just see 4 or 5 players bunched up in a group and you just got to go for it. And, thankfully I had a lot of time to call it out to my team and we capitalized on it and just, won.
That was definitely a great way to open things up for them in the Swiss bracket. As many games as you can take, obviously you want those victories, but the more victories you take at the early stage of the game, those are going to be teams that may not necessarily be the top tier team. It's a 1-1 when we go into the next round, but it's a little bit different. You may want to just pick up those pins, and especially in dominant fashion, you land a 4-man mosh like that. That's going to be a high level. People are going to know that. You could even be drawing bans towards ETC. Maybe he's not even a massive ETC player. Issa could be really getting in the heads of his opponents.
Absolutely. Well, what a fantastic matchup here for Heroes of the Dorm here for the Atlantic Coast region. But don't go anywhere, because we'll be right back with more amazing action.
You got 30-second death timers. It might be close, but I think you got it.
Top 10 plays.
Oh yeah, that's going to make top 10 plays for sure.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Heroes of the Dorm Atlantic Coast region. What an amazing match we just saw there. In the end, FSU taking the victory over Pittsburgh. And you know what, Halorn, it was such a great match, but I know you've got some great thoughts on it.
I was hoping that we would see an explosive start to this year's Heroes of the Dorm tournament, and we got all of that and then some in that match we just saw. What we saw was FSU Crab Leg showing that they are disciplined. Their time, their tenacity, the 3 years they've spent in previous years' tournaments has all paid off. They showed a very dominant performance. But on the side of University of Pittsburgh, we saw that they were gutsy. They were scrappy. They were not intimidated by the stronger opponents in the Atlantic Coast region. And I think if they iron out some of those things, those little mistakes, those missteps, those opportunities that they left on the table, they're going to be strong themselves. I'm excited to see how they do.
And you know what? You're absolutely right. This is only week number 1. We still have a lot more to see from these teams as these weeks progress, as they play more games, more experience, and really work on that synergy. I'm excited to see if we can see a little bit more improvement from Pittsburgh, and if we can see Florida State continue on that dominant trend. But you know what? This is only week number 1, and we have a lot more coming at you. Next week, Clemson's going to be taken to the stage, so we'll see who they take on in their matchup here in Heroes of the Dorm 2018 Atlantic Coast region. We'll see you next time.